What's up, Bugs? Uncle D&E in the garage. Here's where I'm at today, right? I've been trying to answer a question for myself, and I've been doing some research, and I want to share with you what I found. All right. If you've spent any time on the internet, you know, like on Craigslist, sometimes even Facebook, Instagram, you know that people tend to cover up their license plate in pictures, right? They'll take a picture of their license plate for Craigslist, put their thumb over the license plate, or on Instagram, there'll be like a little smiley face emoji. And I guess the idea there is these numbers on your license plate are tied to you and your personal information, and a nefarious, ill-intended person could do something with those numbers. They could get personal information about you and do whatever, you know, steal your identity, track you down. This matters to me, or I've been thinking about this lately, because my license plate is in like every one of the videos. The only videos where there isn't mine or Eric's license plate are these podcast videos. So I'm trying to figure out, like, hey, is that bad? Is that not a good thing to just be plastering my license plates all over YouTube? I've got 130 videos right now or something. I'll bet you 100 of them have our license plates in them. So I got on the interwebs and I started researching this to try to figure it out. And at first glance, everybody says, absolutely, yeah, you know, that's why so many people cover them up on Instagram. If you look into cases of people being tracked down through their license plate, there are a ton of cases. The most notable is the case of the actress, or model turned actress, Rebecca Schaefer. I guess she was a model in the mid-'80s. She was on one of those crappy soap opera shows, Days of Our Lives or something, and then some other show called My Sister Amy or something. I don't remember. My Sister Sam. Doesn't matter. She had an obsessed fan who hired a private investigator, tracked her down, and ultimately he murdered her. And after her murder, it came out that the private investigator tracked her down. He got her address and gave it to this guy through DMV records. Around the same time, there were a lot of stories of pro-choice clinic doctors being tracked down by pro-life activists. They would be at the clinic, follow the doctor to his car, get his license plate number, take that license plate number to DMV, bribe someone at DMV to give them their personal information, and they would go to that guy's house and protest at his house or commit acts of violence. And there are literally hundreds more. And so at this point in my research, I became very terrified because, like I just said, not only are my license plates in my videos, my Instagram, my Facebook, like I've never taken any precautions. I think in one video I put a piece of tape over it, like in the beginning. Never occurred to me after that. So I was digging into this more because while you do see some cases of people covering their license plate, the most notable are like Eric the Car Guy and Chris Fix, who have really big channels. They have custom license plate covers that they put on cars. But like everywhere else, you know, you see people's license plates. So it couldn't be that big a deal, is my thinking. So I dig into it more. Lo and behold, it comes out that in 1994, they passed a bill. It's called the Driver Privacy Protection Act, the DPPA for short. And what it says is that no personal information can be given out based on someone's license plate. What this all boils down to is DMV records. If you don't know, if you're not from the United States, you just don't know, DMV, Department of Motor Vehicle, is a state-run agency. So each state has their own. I don't think New Jersey is even called DMV. I think it's MVC now, Motor Vehicle Commission. Same thing. Each state has their own, and each state has their own rules. So in some states, it was easier to get that personal information that's held in those DMV records, you know, get them. If you could bribe someone at the DMV, they could look it up. This federal regulation, the DPPA, stopped that. Now I hear what you're saying. Well, just because they made it illegal to give out this information doesn't mean it doesn't happen, right? You know, that's the gun control law. You know, just because you make it illegal doesn't mean it's not going to happen. That was my first concern. Like, so what? They made it illegal. It was already illegal at a state level to give out this information. Now it's just federally illegal. But in fact, I did the research, and there's no cases, not a single case of somebody being tracked down or DMV records being leaked since 1994. And the reason is this: they didn't only make it illegal, they took away the ability. All right, previous to 1994, the Driver Privacy Protection Act, any DMV employee had access to that entire state's records and database at all times. You could just go in, you know, you're at work, you can look up anybody you want. You could look up with their name and get their address. You could take their address and get their name. You could take their license plate number and get both, but that's not the case anymore. They no longer, you know, your average MVC, DMV, whatever acronym you want to use, employee does not have access to all those files anymore, which is good. It appears to have actually worked, you know? So the answer is, your license plates are safe. I can, without fear, continue leaving them in the videos. And when you think about it, that had to be the case, you know? These people who cover up their license plate number on Craigslist, doesn't even make any sense, right? You're covering up your license plate because you're afraid that I'm going to get some information from you, like your name or your address, based on your license plate. But you're selling a car, right? You're selling that Jeep. I'm going to call up and say, hey, I'm interested in your Jeep. And what's the first thing you're going to tell me? Your name and address, you know? There are much easier ways in today's society to track somebody down. You're literally 100% more likely to be tracked through something dumb you said or posted on Facebook or Instagram than through your license plate. It just doesn't happen. So not only am I safe to keep putting them in my videos, but you guys can stop with the thumb and the little emojis. You're not really protecting anything. The numbers on your license plate, though they are tied to you, they're not sacred the way a credit card number or a social security number would be. All right, that's just not how it works. And like I said, since I always assumed that your license plate was safe, it always kind of bothered me that, like, you'd see people with their thumb over, like, it's just dumb, you know? Here's the other thing that you have to think about. Every time you take your car out of your driveway, hundreds if not thousands of people are seeing the license plate anyway. It's on video at gas stations and in parking lots. Anybody driving in any direction, anywhere around you, could write it down. I mean, it's parked in front of your house most of the time if you don't have a garage. So right there, somebody has your license plate number and your address. Like, if there was anything you could do with a license plate number, you'd hear about it way more often. It's just not the case anymore. The only weak link there was the DMV, and they locked down on that with this Driver Privacy Protection Act, which is really good. Really, really good. I resent that I have to have a license plate on my car. I do. I paid for this thing. I bought it. I already paid tax when I bought it. I shouldn't have to pay annually for a registration to be able to use it. I think that is absolute bull. But since clearly that's not going to go away, the least the government can do is protect the information that they made me bolt onto my bumpers. So we all agree that this thing is good, right? Wrong. There's an interesting little twist that I found during my research. There are actually a number of states that are trying to repeal the DPPA, and they claim it is a states' rights issue. Now, if you are not aware or not from inside the United States, there's a big thing in the United States in U.S. politics, states' rights versus federal rights. And, you know, people who are in favor of a stronger federal government really don't like the states having too much power and vice versa. Now, the state leading the charge on this is, you guessed it, South Carolina. If you are at all familiar with U.S. history, you know South Carolina is pretty big about states' rights. They claim this is a violation of the tenets of separation of power and states' rights and federalism. They don't think that a federal law should dictate how a state-run agency is allowed to operate. And honestly, it makes sense when you break it down logically, but I think this is just a case where you have to have it, you know? You can't have people being tracked down by their license plate. It's not fair. It's not like they want to have that number on their bumper all day, every day, driving around with them. So the least the government can do is protect their identity that is tied to that number. And in reality, when you look into why South Carolina and some other states want to repeal this, it's really so that they can sell your personal information. That's what it comes down to. So I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. You guys can probably stop with the thumb thing. I'd like to know, if you were somebody who previously did the thumb thing or the little emoji or something to hide your license plate when you posted on social media or Craigslist, are you still going to do that? Are you going to look into the DPPA and let me know? Or are you just going to better safe than sorry? Which I don't personally think is all that logical, because there are like so many other ways that people can get your identity, whatever. I've already stated that. If you're not in the United States, are we late to the party? I know that some other countries handle license plates differently. Correct me if I'm wrong. Overseas, maybe even Britain, Great Britain. Does the license plate stay with the car? Is that what I read one time? So like, if I sell this Jeep, I keep the license plate. In fact, the license plate that's on this Cherokee has been on another Cherokee, 2 Grand Cherokees, a Subaru Forester, and a Subaru RS. You know, and every time I'd sell the car, I'd get a new one, I'd put that license plate on it. I think in some other countries, the license plate stays with the car. So like if I sold this Cherokee, the license plate would go with it. If that's the case, is the identity thing an issue? Was the US late to the party? Does other people do this? Do they have that problem where you get tracked down other places? I am curious because it is odd having, you know, we guard sets of numbers in our lives. You know, we've got all these, you got a phone number that you don't want to necessarily give to everybody. You got a social security number, which you definitely don't want to give to everybody. Credit card numbers. We've got all these numbers and passwords in our lives, and we are just trained to guard them. So it's so odd to have this one set that we just leave out there all day. You know, I got Jeeps in my driveway, they just sit there. So, but it turns out license plate's safe. So leave me a comment down there in the squawk boxes. I do hope y'all found the video amusing, educational, maybe even a little entertaining. If you did, by all means, like the video, sub to the channel. Like I said, answer those questions, man. Let me know what you think about this, all right? Thanks for watching. See you next time.